Now we come to the next sutta, 74, Dighanakha Sutta to Dighanakha. Thus have I heard, on one occasion the Blessed One was living at Rajagaha in the boar's cave on the mountain Vulture Peak. Then the wanderer Dighanakha went to the Blessed One and exchanged greetings with him. When this courteous and amiable talk was finished, he stood at one side and said to the Blessed One, Master Gautama, my doctrine and view is this: nothing is acceptable to me. This view of yours, Agivesana, nothing is acceptable to me, is not at least that view acceptable to you? If this view of mine were acceptable to me, Master Gautama, it too would be the same, it too would be the same. Well, Agivesana, there are plenty in the world who say, it too would be the same, it too would be the same. Yet they do not abandon that view, and they take up still some other view. Those are few in the world who say, it too would be the same, it too would be the same, and who abandon that view and do not take up some other view. Stop here for a moment. So this Dighanakha, Diga is long, Nakha is nails, I think. So this refers to, he's a type of ascetic who refuses to cut his nails. The nails become so long until they turn, some of them, in a loop. Maybe he thinks very pretty. So he says, nothing is acceptable to me. In other words, he has no views. No views are acceptable to him. And the Buddha said, that also is a view. If you say you have no view, that also is a view, isn't it? If somebody says, I have no view, that is your view that you have no view. So the Buddha said, isn't that acceptable to you? Then he said, if it was acceptable, then it's all the same, it's all the same. This is another type of proliferation of view. So when the Buddha confuted him and sort of showed him that is not correct. How can you say you have no view? Then that itself is a view. But he refused to admit. He refused to admit he's wrong. So the Buddha said, there are some people like that. They refuse to admit that they are wrong, and after that they hold on to another view. They keep holding on to views. There are some people, they admit they are wrong, and they abandon that view and do not take up another view. Then the Buddha said, the Buddha calls it Agivesana. This is probably his clan name. The Buddha knows his clan. Agivesana. There are some recluses and Brahmins whose doctrine and view is this: everything is acceptable to me. There are some recluses and Brahmins whose doctrine and view is this: nothing is acceptable to me. And there are some recluses and Brahmins whose doctrine and view is this: something is acceptable to me, something is not acceptable to me. Among those, the view of those recluses and Brahmins who hold the doctrine and view, everything is acceptable to me, is close to lust, close to bondage, close to delighting, close to holding, close to clinging. The view of those recluses and Brahmins who hold the doctrine and view, nothing is acceptable to me, is close to non-lust, close to non-bondage, close to non-delighting, close to non-holding, close to non-clinging. When this was said, the wanderer Dighanakha remarked, Master Gautama comments my point of view. Master Gautama comments my point of view. Stop here for a moment. So the Buddha had not finished speaking. This Dighanakha, when he heard the Buddha says that this view, nothing except is acceptable to me, is close to non-lust, non-bondage, non-delighting. Then he was very happy. He thought the Buddha said that he was right. And the Buddha continued, Agivesana, as to those recluses and Brahmins who hold the doctrine and view, something is acceptable to me, something is not acceptable to me. The view of theirs as to what is acceptable is close to lust, close to bondage, close to delighting, close to holding, close to clinging, while the view of theirs as to what is not acceptable is close to non-lust, close to non-bondage, close to non-delighting, close to non-holding, close to non-clinging. Now, Agivesana, A wise man among those recluses and Brahmins who hold the doctrine and view, everything is acceptable to me, considers thus. If I obstinately adhere to my view, everything is acceptable to me, and declare, only this is true, anything else is wrong. Then I may clash with the two others, with the recluse or Brahmin who holds the doctrine and view, nothing is acceptable to me. And with the recluse or Brahmin who holds the doctrine and view, something is acceptable to me, something is not acceptable to me. I may clash with these two, and where there is a clash, there are disputes. When there are disputes, there are quarrels. When there are quarrels, there is vexation. Foreseeing for himself clashes, disputes, quarrels and vexation, he abandons that view and does not take up some other view. That is how there comes to be the abandoning of these views. That is how there comes to be the relinquishing of these views. Stop here for a moment. So here the Buddha is saying that if a person holds on to a certain view and obstinately, then he will clash with other people who have different views. So if he realizes this, he should not obstinately cling to any view. And this can lead to abandoning of views if he is wise enough. Sometimes people say the Buddha has no view. It's not true. As you can see from here, the Buddha says he has no view. That is also a view. So the Buddha never said he has no views. A wise man among those recluses and Brahmins who hold the doctrine and view, nothing is acceptable to me, considers thus. If I obstinately adhere to my view, nothing is acceptable to me, and declare, only this is true, anything else is wrong, then I may clash with the other two, with the recluse or Brahmin who holds the doctrine and view, everything is acceptable to me. And with the recluse or Brahmin who holds a doctrine and view, something is acceptable to me, something is not acceptable to me. I may clash with these two, and when there is a clash, there are disputes. When there are disputes, there are quarrels. When there are quarrels, there is vexation. Foreseeing for himself clashes, disputes, quarrels, and vexation, he abandons that view and does not take up some other view. That is how there comes to be the abandoning of views. That is how there comes to be the relinquishing of views. A wise man among these recluses and Brahmins who hold the doctrine and view, something is acceptable to me, something is not acceptable to me, considers thus. If I obstinately adhere to my view, something is acceptable to me, something is not acceptable to me, and declare, only this is true, anything else is wrong, then I may clash with the two others, with the recluse or Brahmin who holds the doctrine and view, everything is acceptable to me, and with the recluse or Brahmin who holds the doctrine and view, nothing is acceptable to me. I may clash with these two, and when there is a clash, there are disputes. When there are disputes, there are quarrels. When there are quarrels, there is vexation. Foreseeing for himself clashes, disputes, quarrels, and vexation, he abandons that view and does not take up some other view. That is how there comes to be the abandoning of these views. That is how there comes to be the relinquishing of these views. I'll stop here for a moment. So here, basically, the Buddha says to give up views that have no substantive basis. Like here, what is mentioned here is only based on your preference. Some people say everything is acceptable, some people say nothing is acceptable. All these, there's no really good basis for it. Now, Agivesana, this body made up of material form, consisting of the four great elements, procreated by a mother and father, and built up out of boiled rice and porridge, is subject to impermanence, to being worn and rubbed away, to dissolution and disintegration. It should be regarded as impermanent, as suffering, as a disease, as a tumor, as a dart, as a calamity, as an affliction, as alien, as disintegrating, as void, as not self. When one regards this body thus, one abandons desire for the body, affection for the body, subservience to the body. I'll stop here for a moment. So here the Buddha says to see our body is arose from conditions from mother and father and maintained by nutrition, rice and porridge. but it is subject to impermanence, to dissolution and disintegration. So because it is impermanent, it is suffering, to be regarded as a disease, tumor. In other words, we have cancer. Every one of us, as long as you have a body, you have cancer. Meaning, anytime you are liable to die. We don't know when we are going to die. Just as a person with cancer, his life is limited. Maybe the doctor says 6 months more or 2 months more. In the same way, our life is limited. How long we have to live, we don't know. Right now, inside our body, this cancer may be growing. Then sometime later, and this lump comes out, then only the doctor tells you have cancer. But now the Buddha is telling us every one of us has got cancer. So the Buddha says we should abandon desire for the body, attraction for the body, subservience to the body. There are, Agivesana, 3 kinds of feeling: pleasant feeling, painful feeling, and neither painful nor pleasant feeling. On the occasion when one feels pleasant feeling, one does not feel painful feeling, or neither painful nor pleasant feeling. On that occasion, one feels only pleasant feeling. On the occasion when one feels painful feeling, one does not feel pleasant feeling, or neither painful nor pleasant feeling. On that occasion, one feels only painful feeling. On the occasion when one feels neither painful nor pleasant feeling, one does not feel pleasant feeling or painful feeling. On that occasion, one feels only neither painful nor pleasant feeling. Pleasant feeling, Agivesana, is impermanent, conditioned, dependently arisen, subject to destruction, vanishing, fading away and ceasing. Painful feeling too is impermanent, conditioned, dependently arisen, subject to destruction, vanishing and fading away and ceasing. Neither painful nor pleasant feeling too is impermanent, conditioned, dependently arisen, subject to destruction, vanishing, fading away and ceasing. Seeing thus, a well-taught, noble disciple becomes disenchanted with pleasant feeling, disenchanted with painful feeling, disenchanted with neither painful nor pleasant feeling. Being disenchanted, he becomes dispassionate. Through dispassion, his mind is liberated. When it is liberated, there comes the knowledge, it is liberated. He understands, birth is destroyed, the holy life has been lived, what had to be done has been done. There is no more coming to any state of being. A monk whose mind is liberated thus, Agivesana, sides with none and disputes with none, employs the speech currently used in the world without adhering to it. Stop here for a moment. So here the Buddha says, when a monk considers carefully this body and feeling, that both are impermanent and is a source of suffering, so he does not cling to it. When he does not, when he is disenchanted with body and feeling, then he becomes dispassionate, and from dispassion he becomes liberated. And when a monk is liberated, an arahant, he sides with none, disputes with none, but he employs the speech currently used in the world without adhering to it. In other words, even though he does not have an ego, a self, an I or mind, but still when he talks to people, he still uses speech of I and mind, just like other people. But even though he does not have the I and the mind, but normal convention he follows. Now on that occasion, the Venerable Sariputta was standing behind the Blessed One, fanning him. Then he thought, the Blessed One indeed speaks of the abandoning of these things through direct knowledge. The Sublime One indeed speaks of the relinquishing of these things through direct knowledge. As the Venerable Sariputta considered this, through not clinging, his mind was liberated from the taints. But in the wanderer Dighanakha, the spotless, immaculate vision of the Dhamma arose. All that is subject to arising is subject to cessation. The wanderer Dighanakha saw the Dhamma, attained the Dhamma, understood the Dhamma, fathomed the Dhamma. He crossed beyond doubt, did away with perplexity, gained intrepidity, and became independent of others in the teacher's dispensation. Then he said to the Blessed One, Magnificent Master Gotama, Magnificent Master Gotama. Master Gotama has made the Dhamma clear in many ways, as though he were turning upright what had been overthrown, revealing what was hidden, showing the way to one who was lost, or holding up a lamp in the dark for those with eyesight to see fogs. I go to Master Gotama for refuge, and to the Dhamma, and to the Sangha of monks. From today, let Master Gotama remember me as a lay follower, who has gone to him for refuge for life. That's the end of the sutta. So here, this last part, Venerable Sariputta was standing behind the Buddha, fanning him. At that time, Venerable Sariputta had just come to follow the Buddha for 2 weeks, and in that 2 weeks, he must have practiced very hard and had attained the jhanas. So when he heard the Buddha speaking this Dhamma, encouraging a monk to let go, not be attached to body and to feelings, he understood, and he attained liberation, he attained arahanthood. That means, because in the Vinaya books it is stated that Venerable Sariputta attained arahanthood 2 weeks after coming to become a disciple of the Buddha. But in this Dighanakha, this ascetic, he saw the Dhamma, and the basic Dhamma here is stated this way: all that is subject to arising is subject to cessation. That means everything in the world that arises will pass away. So he understood this, crossed beyond doubt, became independent of others in the teacher's dispensation. Once a person understands the Dhamma, then Buddha says he becomes independent of others. He knows the real teacher is the Buddha. So he stopped here because the next sutta is quite a long and important sutta, 75 Magandhya. Anything to discuss? Does it mean what? That means the basic Dhamma he knows already, and he does not chase after famous teachers. A lot of people, when you are not you are not steep in the Dhamma, you haven't really understood the Dhamma. A lot of people, they chase after teachers and they hero worship teachers. But in this case, he becomes independent of others, means he knows that the real teacher is the Buddha. But he still, actually, he does not really need any other teacher. But if he has some doubts about the certain passages in the, if he does not really understand certain passages in the Dhamma, he may consult a monk who knows more to clarify. In other words, he studies the sutta and he discusses the sutta with others. But even without a teacher, he can progress. He has the basic knowledge. I would think so, because if a person understands the Dhamma to the extent of being an Arya, then he should be able to distinguish between true Dhamma and false Dhamma. Yes. Where is it stated that he attained arahanthood?
In that case, he can order two things, and insight.
The Buddha says, develop further. That means it doesn't mean that he does not have samatha and vipassana. He may have, but the Buddha asked him to develop it further, take it deeper. Because as I explained just now, he says, I have attained whatever can be attained by the knowledge of a disciple in higher training. I said the commentary says that he has attained anagamin, but I'm doubtful about that. When I compare it with the sutta or the Vinaya books, where the Buddha talk about his meeting his first and second meditation teachers, namely Alara Kalama and Udaka Ramaputta, he stayed with those teachers and learned meditation and attained those immaterial jhanas like this, arupa jhanas. And after he attained arupa jhanas, he said basically these same words, I have attained whatever can be attained by the knowledge of a disciple in higher training. But then because he was not enlightened, that he left those teachers. So here probably he had already attained some jhanas. So he came to the Buddha for further instruction to help him become enlightened. And the Buddha told him to develop further samatha and vipassana, deepen your concentration and contemplate more on the Dhamma. Both. That means develop higher jhanas and also contemplation. And then these abhinyas will come, the Buddha is telling.
Indeed, I think I agree on the part where the commentary says that it's first and they already attained but in one Nikaya book, the Buddha describes 11 types of persons, and describes that the Anamani, they will not attain the Nikaya as human in this human world. But what the Buddha attained Nibbana is very high, so it's not the Anamani.
Yes. A lot of things in the commentaries just contradict the suttas. Okay, can we stop here?